So as Myrna has pointed out, IFPRI provided analytical support for the government of Yemen in the process of the food security strategy. As Myrna has pointed out, there were originally 18 priority areas, so the result of this was a 7-point action plan. And IFPRI provided some analytical support how those 18 priority areas may be met, and used analytical support also to rank the different action plans, as we call it here. I will focus in my talk on point 2 and point 3, and will explain a little bit about the analytical components which are behind this. And if you have still some time, I will also elaborate a little bit on potential future research related to the recent conflicts. So first of all, what we did is we looked at the state of food insecurity in Yemen. We have heard a couple times already that the food import dependency has been growing, especially in Yemen, which is a result of reduced water availability as well as declining exports from oil. We have in Yemen a widespread undernourishment measured as calorie deficiency, so 32%, about 1/3 of the population is calorie deficient, which equals about 7.5 million individuals. The typical, as well as in other countries, undernourishment is higher in rural areas than in urban areas, and here we can also identify certain pockets of calorie deficiency. Child stunting, which is very important, is extremely high. Yemen is one of the countries with the highest child stunting rates in the world. So we raised the question, as Myrna has pointed out originally, how can economic growth improve food insecurity, at which level? So at the macro-micro level, here in the macro level at the household or individual level, and by how much can economic growth contribute to this development? Which policies reforms are needed that are suitable to generate exactly such pro-poor or pro-food secure growth, and which investments and programs are needed in addition. As I said, this is the framework you have seen before, so I will talk mainly about the micro component, and due to the time constraint I will leave out the macro part. What we did is, on the analytical front, we combined a dynamic CGE model, CGE is computable general equilibrium model, with a nutrition or with 2 nutrition models. Those nutrition models are basically regressions. From those regressions we calculated coefficients which will report the change in household expenditure or the effect of a change in household expenditure on the household calorie status as well as the child stunting status. We controlled for different factors like education of households, household composition in terms of sex, age, and so on and so forth. From this, we generated certain coefficients, a coefficient or an elasticity for each specific household according to the income distribution. We used these coefficients in combination with the forward-looking modeling from the CGE model to predict the nutrition outcomes for the future. So basically, we are using a forward-looking procedure. The first scenario is an industry and service sector-led growth scenario. Here we mainly looked consistent with the strategy of Yemen. We looked mainly at so-called promising sector, which are in Yemen food processing, non-hydrocarbon mining, tourism, transportation, communication, and this can all be reached through an improved business climate. You see on your right, on the right-hand side, on the top graph, you see the change in GDP figures, and this broken down to different sectors. National GDP is the red line, then we have agriculture, services, hydrocarbon, and industry sector growth. Please note that these changes are changes from the baseline, so not absolute changes, right? So we did this in terms of change from the baseline in order to see what is the impact of policy changes on growth. We did the same then on the micro level, where we looked at undernourishment, calorie deficiency. So what you can see here is the change in the prevalence of undernourishment, also as change from the baseline. Our results show that yes, industry and service sector can generate GDP growth, and this substantially. It also reached a substantial reduction in undernourishment, also in rural areas. This was also pointed out by Clemens before, that many areas in or many rural areas in the Middle Eastern region are not only agriculture. However, in this industrial and service sector-led growth scenario, we figure also out that the improvement in child malnutrition is minor. Coming now to the agriculture policy reform scenario, here we looked at a combination of different agriculture policies, which is mainly a non-cut agriculture productivity growth. This can be reached through investments, especially in the coffee and wheat value chain, and financed by a cut taxation. So we do not assume an additional investment, we just look at a restructuring of the expenditure within the economy. The results show here that the overall growth is rather modest, especially compared to the industry and service sector growth, which is also clear because agriculture has overall a lower share of GDP than industry and service sector. We do see a significant reduction in undernourishment, and as we would expect, especially among farmers. However, also here we find out that the improvement in child nutrition are rather limited. So this is why point 6 and 7 of the Yemeni food security strategy focus on specific programs, direct interventions, which can improve child nutrition. This includes education programs, direct supplementation of mothers and children, and so on. So, as I said, I will skip this, the way forward. I just want to let you know, if you want to know more about this, the Ministry of Planning and International Cooperation, which Minna represents here, and IFPRI came up with a couple of brochures. Those brochures you will find outside. Another deliverable of us was a digital food security atlas, which is all available from our website, where you can basically design individual maps of the different dimensions of food security. In addition, we also have the whole document in form of 2 discussion papers from the research side, as well as the documents from the Ministry of Planning and International Cooperation. Thank you very much.